Perhaps among all of Earth's unique inhabitants, the octopus looks the most like an alien. Very few creatures in this world are so strange and unique. As a member of a class of animals called cephalopods, they are one of the most intelligent and flexible of all invertebrates. Octopuses are found in every ocean in the world, in the deep seas, in kelp forests, in coral reefs, and along rocky coastlines. The external appearance of an octopus is as diverse as its habitats. They can be enormous or extremely small. Some species are venomous and some are utterly bizarre. Their bodies can be covered in thick spines or be slippery smooth. They are so different from humans that most of an octopus's 500 million neurons are not in its brain, but in its long, outstretched tentacles. The octopus's tentacles handle a multitude of tasks like smelling, tasting, and even thinking. These tentacles are so intelligent that their cognitive abilities are on par with many large-brained vertebrates. They have stunned scientists that a creature so distant from us on the evolutionary tree could develop such complex behaviours. Their intelligence emerged in a completely new and independent way from our own. So how did the octopus become so biologically complex? What helped them completely surpass other invertebrates? How smart are they? And how can studying them reveal information about our own minds? Mollusks appeared on Earth a very long time ago. The fossil record shows they evolved more than 500 million years ago, long before any fish, reptiles, or mammals appeared. The original ancestors of the octopus were quite small and had a shell, which they used for protection from enemies on the ocean floor. After all, cephalopods are members of the mollusk phylum, a group of generally slow and simple creatures with soft bodies and a hard protective shell, like snails or clams. But about 140 million years ago, the ancestors of the octopus lost their shells, turning them into agile, lively creatures, but this process also left them quite vulnerable. Therefore, the survival of these soft-bodied creatures for millions of years in a sea full of hungry, dangerous predators seemed impossible. This vulnerability and selective pressure may be the very thing that made the octopus the surprising creature we know today. Because an octopus has virtually no hard parts in its body, except for its beak, it can squeeze through any narrow space as long as it's larger than its eyeball. This allows the octopus to hide in very small crevices, a definite evolutionary advantage that helps them escape large predators like sharks or dolphins. However, octopuses have developed even more unique ways to escape. They are masters of camouflage, and some species can even shapeshift. Just look at this graceful octopus, and you will be amazed by its ability to rapidly change colour. The octopus's special skin texture helps it change to match the colours of the sea and coral in the blink of an eye. It nearly blends into its surroundings. The camouflage ability of cephalopods is one of the most unique survival tactics in the animal kingdom. It relies on an extremely complex system of tissues. Chromatophores are the speckled organs on an octopus's skin. They have small sacs filled with pigment, like little balloons filled with dye of different colours, which can be black, red, or yellow. The pigment sacs are surrounded by radial muscles that can stretch the sacs to reveal the pigment's colour. Like dye-filled balloons, when stretched, their pigment looks bright and vibrant. Depending on the environmental context, the octopus opens or closes these sacs accordingly, allowing it to instantly transform into a rock, coral, or kelp. But if an octopus needs to display a colour other than black, red, and yellow, it uses another reflective structure on its skin called iridophores. These are very thin stacks of cells located beneath the chromatophores that contain a protein for reflecting certain wavelengths of light. They are responsible for the shimmering blue and green colours on an octopus's skin. Beneath this protein layer is another reflective tissue layer called leucophores. They reflect ambient light, usually creating a white colour. By combining the reflection from light and leucophores with the precise arrangement of chromatophores, an octopus can create a body colour that matches its surroundings. But the octopus has one more trick up its sleeve that allows it to almost completely disappear from a predator's view. Using a structure called papillae, it can change the texture of its skin, creating ridges that rise and fall. This helps the octopus blend in better with its environment, making it harder for enemies to spot. Many vertebrate predators hunt for prey by looking for visual outlines and breaks in the background. The octopus's tactic seems very effective at neutralizing this predatory ability. With all these survival tools, the soft-bodied, shell-less octopus has been able to deceive an ocean full of countless predators for millions of years. However, their survival doesn't just rely on his camouflage features, but on how they use these tools. As an octopus moves along the seabed, it must constantly assess the environmental context and change its camouflage. They're constantly making decisions at a dizzying pace. One researcher observed an octopus change its camouflage 177 times in just 1 hour. The camouflage response time of an octopus is faster than any other animal, at only about 0.2 seconds. It's as fast as the quickest blink you can make. Despite being such a flexible colour changer, it's surprising that octopuses and most other cephalopods are colorblind. So how can they match colours they can't even see? In 2015, the answer to this question began to be revealed. Researchers discovered that an octopus's skin is highly sensitive to light due to sensory genes active in the skin. Even when its skin is detached from its body, it can still react to light and change the shape of its pigment cells. Scientists realized that an octopus can see not just with its eyes, but with its skin. 140 million years ago, a major change occurred when the octopus's shell disappeared. Its brain tissue and nervous system developed incredibly. The sensory genes in the skin operate under the control of a larger, more complex brain. The octopus can change colour so quickly because it controls its chromatophores with nerves. Other animals that can change colour, such as chameleons, take much longer because their colour change is controlled by hormones. Hormones need time to enter the bloodstream and be distributed throughout the body. A chameleon's colour change can take more than 20 seconds when controlled this way. In a world where the line between life and death is extremely thin, the speed of transformation is also a critical factor for survival. The octopus perceives not just with its eyes and brain, but with its entire body. The octopus's nervous system is as large as a human's, but is built with a different relationship between the body and the brain. A typical octopus has about 500 million neurons in its body. For humans, that number is about 100 billion, and most invertebrates usually have far fewer. For example, a snail has only about 20,000 cells. But cephalopods, like the octopus, are in the same league as many vertebrates, like cats, dogs and parrots, more than any other invertebrate. And of their 500 million neurons, only a third are found in the animal's brain. The rest are largely found in their tentacles. It may sound strange, but this allows the octopus, in a way, to think with its own tentacles. Scientists have long known that a severed octopus arm can react to stimuli for an hour after being detached from the central brain's control. But a recent paper has begun to reveal the extent of this autonomy. In a lab, as researchers watched an octopus explore objects in a tank and search for food, they noticed its tentacles had complex reflexes controlled by at least 3 levels of the nervous system. In the flow of information from the environment to the octopus, some information bypasses the central brain entirely. In a way, the suckers and tentacles can think for themselves, allowing the octopus to analyse its surroundings extremely quickly and respond with an appropriate level of reaction. Besides their unusual neural layout and the strange autonomy of their bodies, octopuses are also extremely intelligent cephalopods. This leads people to compare them to alien creatures. They are far from any other intelligent species on the evolutionary tree, yet still compete with vertebrates in their raw cognitive abilities. Evolution has produced intelligent life forms not just once, but twice, and in two completely different ways. On the tree of life, we sit on the mammalian branch. Nearby are fish, reptiles, birds, and amphibians, other members of the vertebrate subphylum. This is the group where we find all the intelligence life we typically think of, like humans, primates, dogs, cats, and dolphins. And when we trace back our common ancestor, it might be a lizard-like animal that lived about 320 million years ago. Like humans, this animal also had a backbone, 4 limbs, a head, and a skeleton. It had emerged from the water, adapted well to land, and had a well-developed central nervous system. But to find where humans and octopuses diverged, we have to go much further down the branches, to about 600 million years ago. This was a simple flatworm. It had a very basic nervous system and not the faintest idea of what we would consider intelligence. As the evolutionary tree split and branched, intelligence blossomed on our vertebrate branch and completely separately on the cephalopod branch. With cephalopods evolving before any intelligent vertebrates, it's possible they were the first intelligent animals to appear on Earth. But what really is intelligence? How can we define or even measure such a thing in a species that is truly so different from us? In humans, intelligence is defined as the ability to think abstractly, understand, communicate, solve problems, learn, form memories, and plan actions. This is often measured by intelligence tests that can produce a numerical value. However, we cannot give a standardized test to an octopus. We can only observe its behavior. The octopus is the most fascinating mollusk in terms of behavior. To delve deeper into the octopus's intelligence, researchers have conducted several experimental models and observed their behaviors. They found that every task given to an octopus they could complete: short-term and long-term spatial memory, object recognition, and they could even learn and had the ability to plan. One of the most famous examples of this planning ability is the coconut-carrying octopus. When an octopus travels to a place with no shelter, it will carry along coconut shell halves, and when it wants to stop and rest, it simply pulls them together. Scientists believe this is a rare example of composite tool use, a behaviour previously thought to exist only in humans, some primates, and some birds. This could be evidence of the octopus's complex intelligence, because this tool use may represent a behavioural innovation that allows the octopus to protect itself in areas where it cannot hide. Furthermore, because transporting the coconut shells requires a significant effort for a future need, this may indicate the octopus's ability to plan. The octopus must envision the future and connect past events to its present actions, which is truly not a simple task. Octopuses also perform well on memory tests and can distinguish between different people even when they wear the same outfits. Additionally, they are excellent problem solvers. For example, in experiments they can unscrew a jar lid to get the bait inside. Since the dawn of human civilization, scientists have often wondered about the origins of intelligence, trying to understand why some animal species evolved intelligence while others did not. The social intelligence hypothesis is the most widely supported theory for the evolution of complex cognition. It suggests that intelligence developed due to the demands of group living, such as maintaining complex and long-term social relationships, cooperating, or social learning. As most animals we consider intelligent, such as humans, primates, dogs, and dolphins, began living in groups, the need for more complex behaviours became necessary, leading to the development of a larger, more complex brain. However, this theory fails to explain why intelligence evolved in cephalopods. Therefore, there must be another theory to explain this non-social animal. Perhaps the pressures of foraging and evading predators were enough to drive the evolution of octopus intelligence. This forms the basis of the ecological intelligence hypothesis, which posits that complex cognition evolved in response to challenges related to predation pressure, food foraging, and competition. And when the octopus lost its shell 140 million years ago, perhaps the pressure from predation was so high that evolving superior intelligence became the only way for this vulnerable animal to survive. These two theories of intelligence, for social and non-social animals, are not in competition with each other, but are two explanations for two instances of intelligence on the tree of life. The octopus offers us a rare opportunity to investigate an alternative intelligence, an almost alien-like intelligence right here on Earth, providing insight into the origins of cognition and humanity's own perception of intelligence. We used to think there was only one model of intelligence, but now we know there are at least two, and no one knows for sure if another form of intelligent life exists on Earth. Despite the vast evolutionary distance from humans, the octopus lives in the same grand world as we do, the Earth, the oceans, and the crucible of evolution that forged intelligent life through a separate path. Perhaps in many years, humans will have to see these many tentacled animals in a different light. And by abandoning our human-centric view of intelligence, we can begin to see more clearly the infinite possibilities of cognition. The story of the octopus began a very long time ago. Before life emerged on land, the ancient oceans of Earth were already exploding with life. This period, known as the Ordovician, is known for its incredible diversity of invertebrate species. And among these invertebrates, the massive, heavily armoured cephalopods were king. They dominated the seas for about 360 million years. The fossil record reveals an astonishing array of creatures that appeared during this time. Life was thriving until something brought it all to a near standstill. It was the planet's first mass extinction, but it also opened the door for the evolution of the modern octopus, as well as other organisms.